Hey everyone, Selwyn here from winstrength.com. On this week's vlog, we'll be reviewing week 3 of the Barbell Medicine template, Powerbuilding 2. A little bit of a new video format where I'll be putting a few less warm-up clips and just highlighting the working sets here. So now let's start off with day 1. Starting off with the final 3 sets of squats. Here we have 340 pounds. Just a regular low bar back squat. I'm actually preferring the Romaleos over the Lee Stungs, so I'm kind of switching over to those. The squats are a little bit high. You notice that my hips aren't, you can still see my hip crease, which suggests I'm not breaking parallel. And you look at my toes, they're a little, my toes kind of come up a tiny bit, so a little bit of a balance issue there. This is at RPE 8 across. Really enjoying the RPE style training where you're able to adjust the weights as you go. So if this felt like an RPE 9, I would obviously back off the next set to go back to an RPE 8. Again, you can see the hips don't quite hit true parallel, where we're looking for the knee crease to be just in line with the hip crease. Probably easy to tell from the side, but you can see from the angle of my thighs that I'm just not hitting depth properly. What's good here is it looks like my back isn't caving in on the way up, so I've been trying to focus on using a bit more quads in the movement. So in the past I've experienced my hips would shoot up a little bit before my upper back would. So you can see that from the side where the hips rise up and the back stays, the barbell would stay in place for a little bit. So you change that back angle there. So by forcefully thinking of pushing my upper back into the barbell and keeping my knees forward has kind of helped with that. But you can see that the advice this week would be to lower the squat a little bit more. I do prefer the thumb over the barbell grip. It just helps with my wrist through the squat. I've noticed if I grip the barbell with a full grip, it just hurts my wrist too much. So you notice my hands kind of go over the barbell rather than go under it and grip it. Here we have close grip incline bench press. Bit of a false start there. Didn't get the right shoulder movement. I've noticed with my shoulder issues, if I don't set up perfectly, I just won't be able to set the rep out. So instead of trying to force through the set, I will just reset and re-grip the barbell. I have been dealing with some shoulder issues lately, so these have felt a little bit harder than they usually would, but the speed seems to be fine in replay. During the set, the weight feels like it's moving a lot slower than it is in this in this replay video there, but the shoulders are surviving. I'm not really doing much other than lightening the load for the most part. Here we have some split squats. Slowly getting the hang of these, adding up to 80 pounds here, so we're able to add a bit more stress. You can really feel it in the front quad and the hamstrings too. I'm starting to feel it there as we add more weight, and I think I'm getting better at the form, focusing on that front weight, on the front leg, getting most of the weight. Sticking in the squat shoes just because I don't think it makes that much of a difference whether I use a heeled or a flat shoe, and it's just quicker to get the workout done. Rather than messing around with taking equipment on and off, kind of. Now move on to day 2, where the prime movement is the bench press. Again, dealing with some shoulder issues here, so the bench press wasn't as heavy as I normally would do, but the pain here isn't as great, so I think that's a great trade-off. Just showing one set here, the camera angle wasn't that great. You can see for the most part it looks like vertical forearms, which is awesome. Even on, I can't really tell from the side view obviously because this angle doesn't allow that, but ideally you want completely vertical forearms at the base of the movement, so that's going to lead to probably a slight angle at the top there. Next we have the accessory leg movement for the day, which are some squats with the SS yoke bar. Really enjoying these, especially with the shoulder issues. Not having experienced too many shoulder issues before while owning this bar, now I understand why this is a great barbell for those with shoulder injuries. Just literally no pain on the shoulder at all. A little quick here. Again, not hitting depth. That's a common theme this week. I guess you could call it the high squat week. And here we have the Maya reps for the beltless overhead press. Again, not getting full range of motion here. These were a little bit painful. The right shoulder is the one experiencing issues. So I've included the whole set here, just sped it up a little bit, just so you get the idea of what's happening. 20-second breaks, 5 reps. Once the set doesn't allow me to hit 5 reps, that's the end of the set. Trying to stay at like RPE 9 towards the end of it, 9.5. Really enjoy these. I'm trying to get the form down, focusing on shooting the head forward as usual. The grip had to go a little bit wider than normal, just because of the shoulder issues. Day 3. Moving on with starting off with some deadlifts. Here we have 375 at RPE 8. Shoulder wasn't an issue here. I've switched to deadlifting in shoes just because I'm not doing singles, and I like to get that little bit of extra ½ inch of lift just to make it a little bit more difficult of a deadlift. So we're looking at the plate, seeing if they roll forward or back, seeing if any weight shifts in my feet, and seeing if the hips rise before the upper back does. So those ones look pretty good. You could probably say I could extend completely at the top. At the top of the deadlift, I like to kind of set the back and lats in, kind of fire up the hamstrings a little bit as I grab the barbell. Deep breath. So there's a tiny bit of hip shooting up before the weight comes, but this is a lot better than it has been in the past. There is no shifting of the barbell. It kind of goes straight up, as you can see. I have stepped closer to the barbell so my shins aren't as far away, so there's less opportunity for leg drive, but I'm still focusing on that leg drive to initiate the lift. You kind of want to think of if you are wedging yourself between a heavy fridge and the wall and you're pushing that fridge away from the wall. That's kind of the mental picture you want to get when you do a deadlift. And here we have dropped it down to 365 just because that last set of deadlifts at RPE 8 crept up to like a 8.5, 9. So now we drop the weight again just so that I don't overshoot the RPE, which is still important. Even though the weight has decreased a little bit, we're looking at the overall training stimulus of a program, not necessarily the weights lifted in a program. So you want to focus on hitting that RPE, even if it means you're dropping the weight. Your body is still getting stressed to a somewhat similar degree because the RPE 8 is still at the same level as it was in the previous reps. So there we go, a lot better set there. The barbell's moving in a lot straighter path than it has in the past. And here we have the supplemental bench press movement, which is a touch bench press. No pause at the bottom, even though the previous bench presses you probably noticed I didn't pause, which is a fault on my part. And I've noticed a little bit of a narrow grip, so maybe 2 finger widths in than usual has been helping with the shoulder, keeping that pain at bay for the most part. But again, this is probably the worst day. The accumulation of the day's bench press and today's bench press has not helped with my shoulder issues after today. And we have some pendlay rows, 195 for an AMRAP set. Again, not too concerned with the hip movement personally. I don't really feel there's a need to worry about it too much, as long as you get that full range. So I am touching the floor and touching my stomach each rep, just to make sure there's a full range of motion there. Now I move on to day 4, where the overhead press is the main movement of the day. We have 160 pounds here. I had to spread out the grip a little bit wider than usual. A little bit more hip drive coming into play here. And again, not full extension at the top. It seems right at the top my right shoulder is feeling the most pain. Just to follow on with the shoulder pain there, if I do chin-ups or pull-ups, that hanging motion aggravates a lot. So no chin-ups, pull-ups this week for GPP. I did do some dumbbell rows in place of that. So I think it's anything with the arm in the upright position is kind of not the best, which is a different one here. I'm feeling it on the collarbone more so than anything. And you can see the right hand side of the barbell rising up a little bit slower than the left hand side. Just dealing with that pain there, trying to grind through it. Really the only thing I've done to help mitigate the shoulder pain has been a couple of stretches here and there, which I don't know if it does anything, but it feels better. And that was just me leaning in, and it kind of pushes the shoulder back, which just feels nice. But honestly, throughout this week where the shoulder pain's probably been at its peak, All I've done differently is lower the weights. And you can see here probably the range of motion has changed and the grip angles have changed a little bit up. So if I had, say, a football bar, I'd probably use a neutral grip, or if I had some dumbbells, that would probably be great to use too, because it would allow the arm to move in a little bit of a more flexible position there. But other than that, haven't changed anything other than the weight load. So you'll notice the weights probably weren't as heavy as they were last week, or I haven't increased weight as much as I could have, especially with obviously the bench pressing and the pressing and the pulling with the upper body. The squats have been fine, the deadlifts have been fine, haven't felt any issues with these RDLs, the deadlifts, the squats, the lunges, anything along those lines. And here we're wrapping up with the final movement of the week, bench press for my reps. Again, you'll notice here the weights lifted aren't as good as they could have been given the previous week's weight prescription, but given my shoulder issue, I think this is the best of both worlds. Backing off the weights that I use while still maintaining the rep count and the set count. So mainly what's feeling is a weakness in the bottom of the bench press, and I'm feeling my right pec. I feel like it's getting tighter, quicker than usual when compared with the left pec. And obviously there's some pain in the pull-up, chin-up position, so it feels more collarbone focused, but it shoots into the neck. So trying to stay conservative with the weights lifted while still being aggressive with the program as an overall strategy, which has been a fine balance to hit. I think I've achieved a good balance. The shoulder has been feeling overall better day by day, but obviously after each workout, the shoulder has felt a lot more beat up than it normally would. So whether I'm getting a good muscle workout, I think isn't as great, but because of the time taken to recover from this random injury that I've received, I think I've struck a great balance, because overall the shoulder's feeling better, so I think we're recovering just fine. It's more of a test case to see if I can keep pushing it, because pain doesn't indicate anything structurally wrong, nor does anything structurally wrong indicate pain. So I've been trying to push through after reading some material on painscience.com. I highly recommend checking that out. If you are experiencing any injuries, it kind of shifted the framework and paradigm how I think about pain and injuries in my training. So that was it. What do you think about this shorter format style? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know any constructive feedback you may have, whether on some things I can improve, anything you found to help with your shoulder pain might be cool. I'll leave all the relevant links below for my blog, wynnstrength.com, the Barbell Medicine website, the templates, just as I do in the past. So thanks for watching.